This is a really interesting, well, we think it's a really interesting podcast on maximum results for your muscle training.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about exercises, we're talking about rest, we're talking about rep range, we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The first question is, how often per week should you go to the gym? You've done your set.
Yep.
How long do you rest for? So which one do you think would activate the
triceps the most?
Yeah. Which angle do you think had the most effect on the deltoids? What if you wanted to work your tricep out? Guess which angle?
So that is the king of exercises for bicep.
Guess which way is the better to work out your legs? How many times a week should you train a muscle group?
Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your hosts, Steve and Jeff. G'day, mate.
How are you?
Well, interesting. It's funny because, like, on the way to work today, like just driving along, minding my own business, and a little light flashes up on the dashboard. And this is the problem with these really heavily electrical cars, right? I mean, like, you know, they've got computers, and something goes wrong, you don't pop the bonnet. You basically call an auto electrician, or a nerd, or a computer scientist. But so I'm driving along. I've got an Audi Q8, and it's a really nice car, but man, the whole thing is lit up like a Christmas tree inside. I mean, like, seriously, it's got you know, heads-up display, but then it's got like a computer right in front of you. You can talk to it. I mean, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And look, I know a lot of the other cars have that as well too. And actually, the funny thing is, I'm selling it and actually buying a Hyundai.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is I was driving to work and on the freeway, and a little light bings up, and it goes, oh, your stop-start is disabled. So you know when you come up to a set of lights and it turns it off?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's no big deal.
No.
But it came up with an orange exclamation mark, and it put up on the display. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just drive to Audi and I'll sort of, you know, do it there.
Yep.
So okay, driving a little bit further, and then another one springs up going, your suspension, your auto suspension is now, you know, failed. And a red light pulls up and goes, you know, drive with caution or reduce speed. And you know, I'm like, okay. And then literally like 30 seconds later, a red light comes up going, pull over now. You know, this has failed and that's failed and auto sensing's failed and this has failed. And then it goes, and the whole thing just went crazy. Wow. So I pull off to the side near an exit, whack the hazard lights on.
Yep.
And literally the whole dash is just like, it was like a disco.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I had been over in the right-hand lane when that had happened, because, you know, mate, and then the whole thing's dead. The whole thing's dead now. So, like, nah.
It just goes.
Yeah.
Right.
So there I was on the side of the freeway.
Flat from all the lights.
So if you're in Brisbane and you're driving on the Gateway Motorway and you're like, who's this asshole?
Yeah.
Smile and wave. Yeah. So, stuck on the side of the road there for a couple of hours, which was always fun.
The only flashing lights that happens when I break down are the hazard lights, because my car's a Nissan, it's not that flash. But no, it has got
For our American friends, that's a Nissan.
Oh, Nissan. Nissan. That's right.
Yeah, anyway, so that was the start. So we didn't think we were going to get this podcast done today because I thought I was going to be stuck on the roadside. But anyway, that's okay. We're here. Steve.
Yes.
Before we get into this one, and by the way, guys, this is a really interesting, well, we think it's a really interesting podcast on maximum results for your muscle training. Mm-hmm. We're talking about exercises, we're talking about rest, we're talking about rep range, we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's really interesting. I've been listening to a few other, YouTubers out there, some really good guys as well too. Actually, a lot of them named Jeff, funnily enough.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't mind plugging them because I think they're really, really good. And they're really talking about, you know, sort of don't do exercises and things like that. Some standard exercises, Steve, and maybe, I don't know if we've got this, I don't know you've done this, but, you know, we're talking about the best exercises, but the best for you. And again, the old saying is that the best exercise is the one that you do without hurting yourself.
Of course.
You know, and this guy, Jeff, I forget his last name, good guy, freaking really great physique as well too, was talking about the upright row being one of the single worst exercises you could do for shoulders, which I found really interesting because he's talking about the impingement of the shoulder and the angles and blah 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 blah. And the other one was, you know, when you're doing, you know, upright rows, you know, putting your little pinkies up as well too. How everybody, you know, I even asked the girls.
I do it.
Hey, because it's old, it's
then,
legacy knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you do? Oh, well, you put the little fingers, and he's like, no, you don't do that. Now, I trust Jeff because I think he's a bit of a genius. But Steve, what you have done and what I commissioned you to do is get into it and scientifically have a look at the exercises that have the most impact on building lean muscle tissue. Now,
but anyway, this morning before the car drama, did you go to the gym?
Negatory, good buddy.
Oh.
Now, I was supposed to start, Steve, my blitz to my bits. I don't know. What do you call it?
Oh, no, another edit.
It's got a ring to it. Ooh. I was going to do... I was creating a new program with Rach White and with Jared Hustler and Jake Milne as well too, who are our resident experts here on all things training. I mean, they're world-class athletes. Jake, not so much. Sorry, Jake. But, I mean, he knows how to train as well. So, but, yeah, I ended up getting a bit of a cold. Surprisingly, it wasn't COVID.
No.
So am I allowed to say that? All C words are bad, right?
Yes.
That's what my mum told me when I was young. So no C words, but no can or co.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, anyway. So I didn't start training. So I'm actually starting on Saturday.
Okay.
So this podcast
I was just going to do a segue for that.
Just in time. All right. Okay, we'll do your segue then.
Well, I was going to say, if you went to the gym, I was wondering if you implemented any of these questions that we're going to talk about today. Now, as you correctly pointed out before, the Jared Hustlers, the Rach Whites are the experts in exercise.
Yeah.
So what I've done here is I've dived into the literature where they test muscle activation. And
I love it, Steve.
Yeah,
you nerd out on me because when we spoke about this, I went, right, go out and do your research. And, mate, by the stack of papers in front of you, it looks like you've done a fair amount.
It's loads. So what they do, they can measure how much muscle is being activated depending on the exercise. There's a way you can set up so we know how to activate muscles and how much they're activated given the particular exercise. So that's what these studies are mostly based on.
Can I talk a little bit about the premise?
Sure.
Because this is obviously for a challenge. We're putting this all together with diet, sleep, gut health, hormone health, community, all the rest. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I asked Steve, go out and look at the most effective exercises per muscle group that is going to build the most amount of muscle. But there was a couple of caveats.
There were.
It couldn't be, okay, let's say, for example, for shoulders, overall shoulder development, one of the best exercises that you can do is a standing hand press, right?
Yes.
Like there's, I don't know about you, Steve, but I mean, like the level of difficulty there is pretty hard.
Exactly.
So it had to be practical.
It is. And then the studies are practical.
And the second thing as well, too, and this is probably where you can put honourable mentions. And again, if you're young and you're fit and you're healthy and you're brilliant, you're probably going to love this because, Steve, you will back up things like, and I don't want to preempt this, but, again, you tell me if I'm making legacy thinking ideas like I did in the last podcast with creatine. That was fascinating, by the way.
Yeah.
Is deadlift for back, right? One of the best exercises that you can do. In fact, one of the overall best exercises that you can do. I mean, it's hitting calves, hamstrings, glutes, lower back, upper back, traps, lats, everything, right? And it also stimulates the central nervous system. I mean, there's a lot of things, right?
Cool.
However, the level of so for the intermediate and even specifically the beginner, the deadlift may be something which you can only perform if you have a coach, that you should really only take if you've got a little bit of training behind you. And again, don't get me wrong, I am not saying, and I'm not saying don't squat and don't deadlift. And those are the two king. Bench press, squats, and deadlifts are considered to be the king of lifting movements, right? But as you always say, Steve, the best exercise is the one that you do, and we don't want to create a level of a barrier to entry around novices and intermediates, from trying to attempt these exercises. One, because they could potentially hurt themselves, and two, because they just go, you know what, I don't have the confidence to try and achieve that. So, are we? And please correct me. We're going to talk about the best of the best. Yes. And then we're going to say, but that's really only for your advanced people.
And the only one I cut out that I thought was potentially dangerous was the deadlift.
Right.
Because I put it in squats.
Can I say something for all of our personal trainer friends out there? This is why you guys should be should have a job, right? And again, I know that you guys are tailoring and all, but so if you're out there and you're really, really keen and you're a novice or an intermediate and you're not deadlifting and you really want to do it, go get a personal trainer. Like, seriously.
Yes.
Because they will make sure that your form is correct. They will make sure that the weight that you're doing is correct. They will advise you and guide you. We love personal trainers, and this is where they earn their money. I mean, they really earn their money. Absolutely. They're a great confident. They're a great coach. They're good to keep you on track, keep you accountable, all that sort of stuff. But technically, you need a personal trainer. I mean, look, I don't get me wrong. I think the online things are fantastic as well too, and that will get you 9/10 of the way there. But a personal one-on-one session with your coach, all right. That caveat being said, let's go, Steve.
And that will trump anything I'm going to say here, because the personal trainers are always more experts.
Steve-O.
Yes.
We will not bow to any sponsor. No, actually, it's funny because
bow to any sponsor.
Bow, but except for first,
get our gut right.
And it's funny, man, because do you remember when we first created the gut right? And,
loved it.
We created Matt.
Smoking. What was that?
A few moments later.
Where were we before we so rudely were interrupted by the audio technician burning down the studio?
Burn down the house. Well, I mean, we were talking about our gut and getting our gut right.
Well, it's funny. Do you remember when we first did the campaign and we created the Gut Right Baby? Gut Right Baby.
It was the highlight of my career.
It was fun. I loved it. Well, I don't know, Matt, but did we get 2 million views on that? Is that right? We got a lot. It went viral, right? But it's funny because, and then you see your pretenders come out and they go, oh, here's something new. Yeah. And then they create horse crap. And why I get annoyed is not because we miss out on the sales, but that people take that and then they go, this crap doesn't work.
Yes.
It's just sold to you by some fitness model who happens to be a very attractive fitness model and very good at what she does, but stick to doing fitness. Don't do supplements. But what I was going to say about that is that Gut Right was revolutionary, so different, and tasted like monkey ass. And Matt likes that.
Can you say that?
But yeah, well,
you can say monkey ass.
Matt actually buys a lot. But yeah, it did. And Matt knows exactly what, and he said this is exactly what monkey ass is.
It's not the greatest taste.
It's not great. But what's interesting about it is that it had 16 polyphenols in there, and the whole idea of it was to detoxify, if you like. And I'm using layman's terms here, but Hippocrates said all health starts in the gut.
He did indeed.
And in today's society, with the way that processing of food and all the rest of it, we've lost so many of the polyphenols that we get, which keep the ratio of good bacteria and bad bacteria under control. So Gut Right was designed just to put back in what's been missing in the modern diet in concentrations, kill off that bad stuff. And some of the testimonials that we had back, Steve, with people, some of the bowel motions were scary.
Scary.
It was even scary when they didn't actually get to the toilet. But the feedback was that people were getting great results, unbelievable results with it. And but they had the taste.
I had the taste, but that's been resolved largely now because we now have flavours like chocolate
and raspberry, which is good. Yeah. And so I think this is the sort of thing that makes it practical. So people often ask me, Jeff, when should I use Gut Right? And I'm like, well, it really comes down to what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve. But I always say to people, it's a fantastic place to start when you're, trying to get back into it. You're looking to detox a little bit before you start a program. Whether you're going to be, trying to lose some weight, or summertime, springtime, New Year's Eve, clear out all the bad crap. That's a great time to use Gut Right.
It is, and even coming off a diet, it's a great time to use it. When you've been on a calorie restricted diet, for example, it comes out because your bugs change dramatically. And even if you come off medication, you may have been on some sort of medications that alter the gut microbiome, like antibiotics. After that, to get your gut microbiome healthy again, because this is a modbiotic, which modifies the gut microbiome.
Yep. So I think in terms of Gut Right, this is proudly brought to you by Gut Right.
Absolutely.
First, get your Gut Right. And if you don't like the original Gut Right, which is the original and very, very good, the Gut Right Daily is almost as good. Like we've only removed, I think, one or two ingredients.
A couple of ingredients.
But it tastes good. And even kids can have that. So anyway, get into it, give it a try. do the 10-day challenge on Gut Right. I guarantee you, your life will change.
Your life will change.
And it's sometimes it can be an explosive change. It can be a smelly change.
Yeah.
It can be the change that loses your friends and family members.
But it's a positive change.
But it's worth it.
It is.
That's right.
It is.
Just get rid of that bad crap out of your life. And but in all seriousness, it's a great product. Give it a try. See how you go.
Absolutely.
Do the 10-day challenge, and then you can go on the maintenance.
It's great.
All right.
It's great stuff. Thank you.
Awesome. Good on you.
So what I've done here is I've asked the basic questions. So the questions we have to ask is, okay, we're not even at the gym yet. So the first question is, how often per week should you go to the gym?
Oh, I love this, Steve. Oh,
like
I love it.
There's evidence.
This is great.
But
hang on. So let me, before I answer this question.
Yeah.
Age. Is there age, so hormone,
Yep.
because, it's all about recovery.
Yeah.
So as you're older, your hormones, okay, so I'd say that could potentially have an impact. Okay.
And intensity?
Sure. Because it's all about recovery, right?
Yes.
So if and this is why steroids work really well. I'm talking anabolic steroids, because they enhance your ability to recover. But they don't work on the central nervous system.
No.
And that's something that sometimes is overlooked as well too. But all things being equal, sort of, I would say probably the ultimate would be, but again, with intensity. Okay, do you know what I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the old school 4-day split.
Yeah.
Right, which was back buys, chest tries, shoulders, calves, hamstring, quads, and that's pretty much how you used to train, right? And the variations of, some people put, you've got to put shoulders behind it. Anyway, so it was 4 days a week.
Yeah.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
To an hour. So I'm gonna go with that.
All right. Now before I answer it,
Now.
I'll answer them all together. How many times a week should you work out a particular muscle group?
So fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go back old school. So this
Yep.
is legacy thinking,
Yep.
Steve. This is back into the 90s,
Yep.
right? And I've heard so many things that confuse me. And
Yep.
this is the whole thing about, I train biceps twice a week. And I was watching a pro, brilliant physique. Now, mind you, he's probably chemically enhanced. But, I mean, even the ones that aren't, right? Like, they're going, you know what? I trained arms so much. I was training them 3 times a week, and mate, they got huge. And now I only need to train them once a fortnight. But the old adage was, Steve, is that train the muscle group really hard to create, breakdown, and then not train them for about 7 days. But that was once a week. That was the old school adage.
Yep.
Is that true?
Well, there's 2 schools of thought.
Oh.
And do you want me to answer them as I go along? Because I think that'll be better.
Okay, well, do you want to, as we all were, do you want to put
Yeah.
the Easter egg cookie, the big one at the end, like the big question that we ask, and go, all right, we're going to answer it at the end, and don't skip to the end.
Oh, yeah, no.
Do we have one? Do we
can
have a big question that we can
Well, that's
ask
a big
up front?
question, isn't it?
What's that?
How many times a week should you train a muscle group?
All right, let's put that at the end.
Put that one at the end.
Okay.
Okay, the second
Don't
is-
skip ahead.
All right. You go to the gym, you do your exercises. How many reps do you do?
Rep range.
Yeah.
We're just talking hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy and strength, but that because that was
Okay.
included in the study. But
Sure.
Yeah, if you
Because,
go-
again, hypertrophy and strength does have a different rep range.
They do.
But there is an overlap.
there is a big overlap.
Okay. So I'm going to say, if I was to say, pick your perfect rep range, like
Yep.
that sort of hits strength and hypertrophy, I would say 10. But that's just years and years of experience, Steve. I don't know.
Well, here's the paper.
Yep.
I'll read the title. Total number of sets is a training volume quantification.
Hang on,
method.
you didn't ask me sets?
It's sets, and they did reps and sets in this. Rep range and sets.
Going back to the old school. I mean, I'm talking about not including warm-up reps.
Yep.
And this also doesn't include things like drop sets and negative reps and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But it was typically 3 sets. I mean, like, that was all that you did, right? It was like 3 sets, and typically it was 12, 10, 8. I mean, like, I'm talking old school. But, yeah, I'm going to say 3.
Yeah, 3's good. That was not significantly different to 4 or 5, depending on the rep range.
And here's the thing, right? For your beginners and your intermediates, 3.
Yeah.
For your intermediate / advanced and then elite, then I think they're going to be going 4 to 5.
Yeah, and the rep range was equal from 6 to 20. So anywhere between there.
So long as you're going to failure.
Exactly.
Wow.
Intensity. It was all about so to failure.
So it doesn't matter.
Yep,
so it
6
doesn't
to
matter.
20.
Which is interesting because I
Yeah.
guess for people who are in a hurry and
Yep.
want to go 6 reps,
Yep.
if you're worried about injury, if you're
Yep.
nursing, what have you, maybe a bit of a dodgy shoulder, what have
Yep.
you, maybe pick a rep range that feels comfortable where you can manage the weight, but go to failure on that.
Exactly. It's all about
Go to failure, pretty much.
It's all about intensity.
Wow.
So that was pretty interesting, wasn't
That's
it?
good. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
So further, this is another study.
But hang on, Steve, isn't there a crossover? I mean, didn't they
There is a
used to say-
crossover.
Okay.
And this gets to the strength part. If you want to do strength, it's
Yes.
lower reps,
Yep.
higher weights.
That's right.
Yeah, and that was
If
published
you
in the
want
effect.
hypertrophy, it's typically higher weight, right? But
Yeah.
so therefore, okay, you keep going.
Yeah, so the amount didn't really matter, but they said these findings indicate that both high load and low load training to failure can exist significant increases in muscle hypertrophy among young, well-trained young men. However, high load training was superior for maximising strength adaptations.
So high weight, low rep,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Low weight, high rep.
low weight, high rep.
They
Yeah,
were the same for hypertrophy.
right. But strength was better with the low weight.
High weight.
With the high weight, but low rep.
strength. Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So therefore, honestly, then low weight would be better if your body can handle it because you're also increasing strength and hypertrophy.
Correct. And time.
And of course, you can
And
get your
we-
workout done in half the time. If you're doing
Exactly.
6 reps instead of 20,
Yeah.
you're getting done in half the time.
Exactly. So that was published in The Effects of Low versus High Load Resistance Training on Muscle Strength and Hypertrophy in Well-Trained Men.
Can I tell you something that's really strange?
Yeah.
Well, not really strange, but
all right.
when I first started, one of my favourite exercises for triceps, which I can no longer do because of my buggered shoulder, was dips. I loved them.
Oh, yeah, I
Absolutely
like them.
loved them. And it's the same as chin-ups. I've never got into chin-ups and the long levers and all the rest of it. And but when I started doing dips, I remember I first started, I think I could do like 2 or 3. And it was like jump up and really struggle. Next week I came back, I could do 4.
Yeah.
Next week I come back, managed to get 4.5. Then 5, and then I can't remember the exact time frame. Got through, ended up hanging, I don't know, 30 kilos,
Whoa.
I think, and doing like reps of like 10 to 12 plus.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like I got super, because I love that exercise. So of course I enjoyed doing it. So therefore I did it to its max, right? But I got strong quickly when I started doing dips.
Yeah.
I got really strong quickly. And then the muscle came, right?
Yeah.
So
Because you're only doing low.
I was only doing like 3-4 reps.
But that was at high weight relative to your
I couldn't do anymore.
Couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
And that will increase your strength dramatically.
Massively. And then obviously once I started getting 6, 8, 10, then I went, right, now add weight on. Okay, 5 kilos, 7.5, 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the one thing I found interesting here was the amount of weight that they lifted was very irrelevant. It was like the actual number, the 20, the 40, the 60, whatever. As long as the person was doing to failure and intensity and volume.
Yeah.
And they were the key. So regardless of what number you've got on your rack or whatever.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, go for it.
So I was training with a mate of mine. We were probably in our early 20s.
Yeah.
And I'd been doing a lot of weight training at this time and it put on quite a bit of muscle, and a guy came with me. And this is why you need a personal trainer.
Here we go.
So anyways, they came with me to gym. We worked at Vision Stream at the time here, which is a subsidiary of Telstra, right?
Okay.
And his name was Craig. And we got onto the incline dumbbell, right?
Yes.
And we'd already done a set, and man, I was flogging him like, because I'm going to flog him.
Yeah.
So I
You're in
can't
your
work the next
20s,
day,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So anyway, we're there, and we're punching out some weights, and I think I got distracted. I was single at the time, but I saw a hot-looking female, I think, as you do when you're at the gym.
No, I don't look at hot-looking chicks at all.
Anyway, I got distracted, and he's sitting there, and he was punching him out fine, and all of a sudden, as you do when you're kind of new to it, all of a sudden you're like, you kind of like go from one rep fine, next rep it's like, oh, like this.
You can't do it.
He's going, oh, and I looked down and I went, okay, now. I don't know, and a personal trainer's mate scream at me for this.
Here we
We're
go.
talking in the 90s now, right? So
We're gonna
please
get
forgive me,
emails.
right?
Here we
But
go.
yeah. So anyway, I used to spot my other friends that used to train under the elbows.
Yeah.
So we're doing a bench press. So what I do is I put my hands
Yeah.
just gently underneath his elbows and just take a little bit of the pressure off to help him.
Yeah.
Right? But what I should have done is I should have grabbed his wrists,
Yeah.
right, and actually helped him that way, just to get the last one
Yeah.
done and then forget it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really shouldn't be too many forced reps or negative reps when you're first training. Just go to failure, put the weight down.
Yeah.
You're doing enough damage. You don't need to cook it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was cooking him. So I put him underneath the arms and I went up, and he failed. and he just smashed the dumbbell straight into his nose, and I'm pretty sure he broke his nose. Yeah.
That's why you need a spotter, a good one.
That's why you need a personal trainer. Yeah, not me. Yeah, not me. Definitely not me. Want to go training, Steve?
Yeah,
no,
anymore.
but yeah. So going to failure. I mean, like that's just reminding me of that story of going to failure.
That's. I mean, going to failure is on some machines is completely very safe, and the classic lap pull down.
Yeah.
I mean, if the worst thing that happens is you get sort of there and then it goes up again and away from you, and the thing makes noise, and everyone looks at you, go, "You idiot!"
And the assisted chin is actually not too bad either, as well, especially when you're starting out, right?
Yeah.
So go to failure. So
So there's good failure things. All right, so
it's good to fail.
It is good to fail in these instances. Now, here's the next question. You've done your set.
Yep.
How long do you rest for?
Wow. I love this question, Steve,
It's
because
a good one.
I'm a huge fan of, and what's really interesting, I was watching Rambod. What's his name? Yeah, Rambod.
Who is Rambod?
I can't remember his first name. Anyway, he's trainer to the trainer, like brilliant guy. Man, he was punching this guy through with very, very limited rest, right?
Yes.
But the funny thing is, for me personally, and again, I'm going to go back to my understanding of. See, now you make me question my own theories. But
I'll give you the right answer. There's no one answer that's right.
Okay. What I would have gone for.
Yeah.
I always say if you lift the maximum amount of weight, then you're going to put more pressure on the muscle. But what you're just saying sort of counteracts that, because obviously you just lift a lighter weight. But it was 3 minutes, Steve. That was the ultimate, because obviously that allowed for the adenosine triphosphate to recycle. And you got all of it and again, this is why creatine's so awesome.
Yeah.
Because your body's got natural adenosine triphosphate.
Yep.
When you're lifting anaerobic activity and lifting weight, that splits off, creates a tier of energy.
Yep.
And my understanding is for that to completely replenish, or probably not completely, but 90% replenish, it takes about 3 minutes.
Yep, and I'll tell you what, this is, firstly, you're right. 3 to 5 minutes was the one that and this is published in the
3 to 5 minutes?
3 to 5 minutes. And
3 to 5 minutes.
And 3 to 5 minutes.
You watch a lot of the heavy guys moving on really big weight, like if they're doing a really big squat, they'll probably take 5 minutes, and they probably need it.
And there's going to be people screaming at the radio, because there's a big butt.
At the radio, Steve.
At the wireless.
At the wireless. At the telephone system.
They're going to be on a treadmill pumping all these. You idiots! No, I only rest for 20.
Where they're running from their dinosaurs.
So they're going to be right too, because I'll explain. Okay. I'll give you the answer to this, and then I'll explain why it's good and then why it's bad.
Yeah.
This is published in the rest interval between sets in strength training article, so pretty good one. It says 3 to 5 minutes rest between sets allows for greater repetitions over multiple sets. Now, that's more volume, more weight moved, more muscle growth. Okay, now here's the big but. Here's the big but.
I like big butts.
The big but, yeah.
I can't lie.
So what they found was that there are other forms of exercise which still proved hypertrophic,
right?
But they were less, and down to 20 seconds was okay.
Get out.
But that's a special type of training we'll get to later. It's a weird type.
Is it German?
No, it's called sarcoplasma stimulating training.
Oh, that's catchy.
Yeah, I know. SST is its catchphrase for those who... SST. Yeah, that's a bit more catchy.
I don't mind that, Steve.
SST was found to be effective as well, and that's 20 seconds rest, and that's 1 second pulling the weight up. I won't go...
Concentric.
Yep. And the 4 seconds eccentric.
Wow.
So, and that's
more of a negative.
Well. Yeah. 20 seconds
because if you think about it, and the reason for this being is that your body can handle a lot more load eccentrically. That's when the body or the muscle is lengthening.
Yeah. And what this study found was when they told people to do that, they actually worked out less in the gym because they just ran out of time. They were resting too long between sets.
Oh, bloody oath.
Go to work or
And again,
something.
Steve, what's the best exercise?
Yeah,
the one that you do.
Yeah. So the authors actually contradicted themselves, and they said 30 to 60 seconds might be the most effective due to the greater acute levels of growth hormone during such workouts.
So see, I love this. Okay, because there's competing things, right?
Yeah.
You've got ATP, you've got testosterone, and you've got growth hormone.
Yeah.
And you've probably got other things going on, Steve, that you can talk about that I can't. But
loads of things.
Yeah, but that's interesting.
It is interesting. So the whole sentence
it's an oxymoron. It's a juxtaposition.
Yeah. So if you want to lose more volume and you want to actually boost your muscle mass more, 3 to 5 minutes is okay. But you're going to run out of time, and most people aren't going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger going 3 hours to the gym on the beach at Venice Beach, and do that. So they concluded in this paper by saying that when the training goal is muscular hypertrophy, the combination of moderate intensity sets with short rest intervals, 30 to 60 seconds, might be the most efficacious due to greater acute levels of growth hormone during such workouts. Now, you hear the word moderate intensity in there. So what they found in this one is that if you did super high intensity, it increased cortisol and suppressed testosterone. So
if you do, sorry, say that again.
If you went to super high intensity
Yeah.
and stressed yourself out,
Yeah.
it increased cortisol levels, which
Right.
breaks down muscle tissue
Yeah.
and depresses testosterone.
Yeah, right. Now, this is where people overtrain and then wind up in
Yeah.
hospital and can
Yep.
sometimes die. What do they call that?
So the disease you can get for overtraining is called rhabdomyolysis.
Yeah, rhabdo. Yeah,
We'll call it rhabdo.
Rhabdo, yeah.
Sounds more cool, rhabdo.
It does. Rhabdo.
So you
First
get
blood.
rhabdo. But that's very difficult to get if you're going to the gym.
No, and look, most people don't want to train that hard, and if you do, again, you're doing some serious damage. So, all right, I'm with you, Steve, because we're going to come out of this, I guess, with an apex, right?
Yes.
Which is the convergence of who you are, the time that you have, the best exercises, the best rep range, and the best time, the rest pause in between exercises.
Great, and the best type of exercise for muscle hypertrophy.
And how many days a week?
Exactly.
At the end, you should be training.
Oh, that's right. I was going to give it
Now
away.
we need to overlay that, Steve, also with the cardio, because we did the cardio podcast before. But did we? No, that was an internal one.
We did an internal one.
Internal
we
one.
did one ages ago on high intensity. And
No, but we need to break it down to a practical thing.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, that's okay. Maybe we need to do that, Steve.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that one as a follow-up.
A cardio one?
Cardio one.
Sure. Yeah.
Can we do that? Because we kind of did one, but it was an internal one.
Yeah.
So let's do a cardio one to follow up on this in terms of getting shredded, baby.
Shredded. All right, that's
Shred
easy.
the cheese.
That's got a goal.
Yeah.
Like this one's good because it's hypertrophy.
Yeah.
And this is another review paper, and I'm getting review papers because it's where all the experts get together and they talk about, based on all the evidence, this is what we've found. So this is another review. It says Maximising Muscle Hypertrophy, a systemic review for advanced resistance training techniques and methods. So they looked at all the methods.
Okay.
Like that SST one, the one I was talking about before.
Yeah, SST.
That was effective.
Yeah.
So that's that 20-second rest, fast contraction, and a slower extension of the muscle.
Yeah.
So that
which is just like a negative, right?
Yeah.
But that can lead to overtraining, Steve. I've done it. I used to do it a lot with regards to, you get your spotters, you'd be doing bench press, and then what you do at the end of every set, you'd literally take, mind you, it's probably more than 4 seconds, so maybe that's where I was overdoing it.
Yeah, because it's you basically at the end when you're failing, it's failing on top of you, the weight.
Yeah.
A little bit slowly, and you're not going to crush your chest. But that's what it's doing. It's going to that much failure, so you can overtrain that way.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it's very, very effective for muscle building.
Yeah.
So concerning that in this big review, and what they found was concerning the time efficacy of training, the use of drop sets and supersets were excellent. They found that is so. What that means for those people who don't know is you might be doing 10 reps of say 20 kilos. And then you go to 15 and do another 10. Then you go 10, do another 10. You just drop the weight and just
keep going until you can't lift anymore.
Yeah. So
what's interesting is that, and I've seen that as well too. The other thing I've seen, which we've spoke about as well too, is also then engorging the muscle with blood by flexing it as well too after you train.
Yep.
But drop sets, and supersets seem to be a good. Well, you see a lot of people do them. We know that they work. I just wonder where they would rank, and when you should do them, and how often you should do them.
Well, these guys compared it with high load resistance training, low load resistance training, and they also found another one that low load resistance training under blood flow restriction.
Aha.
Which was another advantage thing. So what they found, what they hypothesized, they didn't really know how it sort of all worked, but they just said it basically damages the muscle more.
Uh-huh.
And so you've got to remember, you're after damage.
Yeah.
It's weird. You're going to the gym to literally damage your muscles.
Well, and Steve, that's the product that we used to have called Prototype 8 and Prototype 7, which actually worked by engorging the occlusion training. What do they call it? Restricted blood flow training, is where effectively they would actually tie like rubber bands almost onto their arm, which would stop the blood flow. But it works.
It's hypoxia,
it works.
and damages your muscle, which is
what you want.
After. Yeah, exactly.
But in a good way.
Yeah, you don't want to get
micro tears.
Micro tears. So all those things were found to be effective, or slightly more effective than actually they were all more effective than standard weight lifting.
Right.
So if you're just going to the gym and doing 3 sets of 10, thumbs up. There's nothing wrong with that. But these are what they termed advanced techniques.
Right.
And so. Is that out of the scope of what we're talking about today? I throw it in there because it's an interesting one if you really want it slightly better results.
It does, yeah.
So let's say everyone wanted big muscly backs like you and I have got. All right, so which exercise, and I'm going to give you a choice of 5.
Yep.
And this is based on a
for
journal.
back. So we're getting into so this is where you go, boom, back. Best exercise.
Best exercise. And this is, again, electromyography, which is how much muscle is stimulated during the exercise.
All right, so tell me more about this myography.
So what you do is you say...
Electrodes?
Use electrodes. And let's say you're doing my bicep. You put it in the insertion point and the other point.
Yep.
And you measure how much electricity is actually going to that muscle based on that particular exercise.
And that shows you how much muscle fibre contraction is occurring?
Yes, because electricity is proportional to how much calcium is going into the sarcomeres to contract the muscle. So there is so it's a measurement. Now, what they did with this one, there is a slight sort of caveat to this, is that it also depends on how much weight you're putting on there.
Sure.
So they used, in this particular study, 70% of 1 rep max.
Perfect.
So they standardise. Yeah.
Okay, so the standardise. Okay, so the back is not one muscle group, Steve. So there's several muscle groups here.
Yep.
So are we talking about exercises that hit all muscle groups? Because I guess with the back, because the back is particularly tricky, so are legs, right? If you say back day, leg day, like when you're saying biceps, right?
Yeah.
Biceps, it's very, you've got 2 muscles.
Yes.
Bicep, right? So 2. And then you got your brachialis and all that sort of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
But with back, you've got realistic, and the big prime movers here. You've got lats.
You got lats.
You've got traps.
Yeah.
You've got rhomboids. You've got spina erectus.
Yeah.
What else you got, Steve?
Well, this is just the latissimus dorsi.
Okay.
So this is the lats.
The lats, which is that the largest muscle group in the back?
It's certainly one of the biggest ones there. The longest one is the rectus spinae, but this is one of the ones that you see the most, that you work out the most at the gym.
Sure.
The big one that covers the whole back. It's shaped like a triangle, I guess.
Yeah.
Weird shaped triangle.
Yeah.
So there's a few ways of working that out.
Okay. So if you're talking lats, well, number one, has to be the full deadlift.
Yeah, they didn't test the deadlift in this one because I picked ones without deadlift in it, so I didn't want to, put as being.
Do you know what the deadlift would have come in at?
Wouldn't have been good for this one. It's good for the legs. It topped the legs.
Yep.
But it didn't top the lats.
Really?
No.
Oh.
I'll tell you, it's funny.
Okay.
You could probably guess.
Right, let me have a guess. Well, most people would go straight to the lat pull down, Steve.
That was one of the ones tested.
Okay. And did it also test chin-ups, overhand and or reverse hand chin-up?
No, they didn't test chin-ups.
Because I would imagine that would be pretty high. But I'm going to go with bent over row, Steve.
Jesus, you've been reading it.
No?
It's perfect.
Yep.
Bent over rows was the best.
Right. Overhand, underhand?
Overhand.
Overhand.
That's the way they tested it here.
Yeah. And I have heard that the overhand is probably slightly, better than the underhand. I actually much prefer the underhand row. It just feels more comfortable.
That was the best one based on the maximum muscular activation was in the prone position, and you're pulling like that.
Right.
Like up. So for those who are on video, you've got your hand on the bench and you're bent over, you're facing the ground, and you're pulling up like that.
Can you use the bent over row barbell? Was that tested, or was it just a single arm?
Yeah,
so this is single arm.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's that. That was a good. I thought you were going to do lat pull down.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was lat pull down.
Oh, did you? No, Steve. I'm far more intelligent than you.
Yeah, I know. Obviously.
Yeah. Lat pull down. Yeah, good, but no. Yeah, that to me definitely feels like the single arm or the barbell rows to me are they're king. They're one of the best exercises you can do.
Well, it was the best one to activate that muscle.
Okay.
And as I said, I was surprised, but that's all right. I like being surprised.
Did it hit much of the other muscles, or didn't showcase that?
Yeah, there is a big graph here that can be put up on the screen right now. Ding ding, if you're watching. And it shows you which ones were good. Now, the lat pull down was clearly number 2.
Yep.
The worst part, I don't even know this was an exercise, but it's called upper trunk bending, when you do like a bicep curl on your lat. I know, weird. Why would you do it? Don't do it if you're doing it.
Nobody does that anyway, Steve.
I know. It's a bit, and then there was a lifting body one where you get like a dip. That was okay, but certainly the prone extension was the best.
Yep.
And the lat pull down was second best.
Okay.
So
done.
That's pretty comprehensive. So that graph shows that. So if you're not watching this, by the way, get on YouTube and watch it, because you'll get to see it. Now, speaking of muscle groups, everyone wants chests like ours.
That's right, Steve.
All right,
chesticles, I call mine.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting because we'll start with the tricep using. Yeah, I know it's a bit weird.
Pardon what?
But what they did was they tested the tricep activation of things like either a bench press, a dumbbell press, or a Smith machine press. So it was on a does everyone know what the Smith machine is? Or not?
Yeah, most people would, and you can Google it if you're listening. Okay. And people can come back. I'm sure people that are listening to this probably go, what exercise are they talking about?
So which one do you think would activate the
triceps the most?
Yeah.
Oh, you see, I'm going to get a lot of these wrong, Steve. I don't know. But I would imagine probably the Smith machine would actually hit the tricep the most.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So not the free weight?
No.
No, it was the barbell press.
Yeah, right.
That was the one that activated the most.
Okay.
Yeah,
so Smith machine targeted more of the muscle mass, the chest.
Yep, it did.
Really?
So this is so that was interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting.
The good old flat bench.
Yep.
Was the best for the triceps because they use that for a tricep. Now people are going to say, what about other tricep exercises? We'll get to that.
Okay. Yep.
And what about the bench for your chest?
Yes.
We're getting to that.
Okay.
Let's
get to that.
We'll get to that. Hopefully it's the next one then. No, I'll find through it here.
Find chest for me, Steve.
Find chest.
I mean, chest is, they don't call Monday International Chest Day for nothing. Yeah.
All right.
Start of the week, train chest.
I've got actually 3 chest papers here, so it'll be carried over.
Okay, no, that's good. Well, I mean, look, as I said, most people, they can just train chest and biceps, so they kind of look like a hunched over crab.
Here's another one, 2020 paper. The effects of 5 bench inclinations on the electromyographic activity of the pectoral major, the anterior deltoid, the tricep brachii doing the bench press exercise. So there's 5 types of bench, and they're on different angles.
Okay, so you're talking about flat bench through to incline, decline as well?
No decline. Okay. It was 0, 15, 30, 45, or 60 degrees.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. And they're all good for different muscles.
Sure.
And you'll probably guess this one because
pec major, pec minor. Yep.
Which one's the best for the flat? Firstly,
for the flat.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Which muscle group do you think worked the flat? Like when you're doing flat,
pec major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, pec major. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, which is the biggest part.
Yep.
And why the flat bench press, dumbbell and or barbell. I like dumbbell because if you've got any problems there, they've got independent rotation. Yep. You're not built anatomically perfectly, so I go for dumbbell. Go for the dumbbell option. Go for flat. Yep. That's a staple for me, and I think probably the gold standard of chest exercises.
Absolutely. Yep. So all right. Now, which angle do you think had the most effect on the deltoids? 0, 15, 30,
65?
40. Well, there's none, but 60. Yeah.
60.
60.
Yeah, the 60 would,
Yeah.
Is it?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
So
the higher you go, the more shoulders, front head of the shoulder you're probably bringing in.
Yep. Now, what if you wanted to work your tricep out? Guess which angle? It's tougher.
So flat, did you say 30?
Well, there was 0, 15, 30, 45, or 60, and the answer will surprise you.
Okay, I don't know, Steve, 15?
All of them.
Okay.
All the same.
Okay, right.
So isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I was going to say.
So look, let's say you're going to the gym and you just want a bigger chest, lower chest.
Yep.
Let's call it. It's flat bench. If you want the deltoids, it's on an angle.
Yep.
Now, between the angles there, the angles simply swap between the muscle groups, so it was a little bit obvious.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you look at your chest and go, I need the middle part. We'll do a 30-degree thing, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You want more deltoids, the 60 degrees better. So
Yep.
a little bit, you know, a little bit of an obvious one, that one, and that was published in 2020.
Cool.
So I sort of got that one right when I was...
Next.
All right. Biceps, guns.
Yep.
All right. Now,
I know.
dumbbell, barbell, or the undulated bar or the EZ bar?
I'm going to go with, probably the flat bar.
The flat bar?
I like dumbbells, personally, again,
Yeah.
for the same reason that I said before.
Yeah. Which one's the most activates?
Which one activates
the bicep
the
brachii. Which one?
But that's probably the easy curl bar then, because you're doing it on an angle.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
So, yeah, okay.
So that's right, and it was preferred to the other two variants, which again was interesting.
It is interesting.
Matt behind the camera came down and said, just on this paper, and I said, that's interesting, that weird shaped bar, that's the best one to use for your biceps.
And also, you're putting your hands in a more natural position as
Correct.
well too. So you're less likely. A lot of guys when I was younger used to use the flat bar because they insisted that it hit the bicep more and both heads of the bicep. The problem was that they got a lot of tennis elbow and I think golfer's elbow and other stuff like that. So it's better to train, and this is why I like dumbbells over barbells, is because you can put your body into a natural position that makes sense. Now, it doesn't mean that you should be lazy with your form, and again, this is where you need your personal trainers, but that does make sense.
That even beat the dumbbell.
Yeah, right.
Dumbbell curl. So I was surprised at that
Curls.
one. I got that wrong again. Surprise.
Get the girls or boys, depending on whatever you're after.
As published in the differences in electromyographic activity of bicep brachii while performing 3 variants of curl.
Okay, cool.
Good one.
So that is the king of exercises for bicep.
It is.
So better than concentration curls, better than, because this is what I want to know, Steve. Is it better than concentration curls?
It was slightly better than the concentration curls because that supported the elbows. And what they did in that study, and I didn't bring it with me because there's too many, was that didn't get the range of motion. Now, you might do both and say, I get good results, and it's like, okay. But that's what the study...
A study that I was reading showed that concentration curls were king. The other one that's interesting as well, too, is the spider curls or whatever, where you pull it up against your body.
I never... it didn't come up in the literature.
You haven't seen that?
They try it in the literature. They try and pick the real obvious ones and test them, and so it'd be really all these weird muscles. There's millions of muscles. They can't test them all, and there's millions of different ways to work out the muscles. So I picked the ones that, like those sort of curls, I think everyone would be doing them at the gym. 80%, 90%.
A lot of people would.
So if you're doing them, do the weird bar one, the easy bar.
Okay, so and just standing shoulder width apart sort of grip. Yep. All right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Next one.
So that's another bench one which we talked. All right, let's get into the squats. Everyone hates squats. Well, I hate squats. I saw legs from squats from 3 days ago.
Yeah, right. Nice. Glutes.
All right.
Hamstrings, quads.
So the squat was by far the superior exercise.
100%.
I didn't want to bring a paper in that, but actually what I did find was there's 2 ways of doing a squat. The first one is you put weights on, and the second one is you put less weights on but put a rubber band on there.
Oh, yeah.
Which gives you the same force. They did this in the study, the same force contraction, but it was over the entire thing. So it was less at the bottom, more at the top. The weights without the thing was just standard throughout because it's obviously, gravity is constant. So guess which way is the better to work out your legs?
Oh, well, I'm going to go...
Using a rubber band or not?
I'm going to say, we're using a rubber band.
It was better.
Yeah.
And they found that's simply because the rubber band would be relaxed when you're at your weakest.
Yeah, right.
But when you're at the strongest, the last part, it's pulling harder.
Yeah.
So it gives you a more...
Makes sense.
Yeah. So and also they found that it was more, that people were more compliant to that because... I'm going to talk about depth of squats in a sec.
Well, this is where people use chains too, Steve.
Yeah.
Have you seen them use chains?
The chains.
So what happens is as you go down, obviously more of the chain is on the floor, so the weight actually becomes weaker. And as you go up incrementally, more chain becomes affected by gravity.
Exactly.
So it's sort of a similar
Exactly
sort of
the same thing.
Yep.
So they used rubber bands because that has a very powerful, towards the end, it's really pulling you to the ground.
Yeah.
So
exponential,
Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting.
That was interesting.
Title of that paper. electromyographic comparison of squats using constant or variable resistance. Journal. By the way, most of these journals come out of the Journal of Strength and Conditioning, which is a great paper, which is like, wow. And really lots of good information in there. Now, again, this doesn't substitute for a personal trainer, because if the personal trainer says, I don't want you using bands, then don't.
Well, and not only that, as well too, Steve, if your form's not particularly great, maybe your mobility's not great.
Yep.
And I know that, a lot of people hate the leg press machine. I'm talking trainers here. They say, no, just do the squat because it is the king of exercises.
It is.
Yeah, leg press is still good though. I mean, it's again better than not doing anything. And I still think it actually hits a lot of the different muscle groups, because when you think of legs, you're thinking not just quads and hamstrings, but you're also thinking glutes as well too, and a little bit of calves. So
and speaking of glutes, the way you activate the glutes during a squat is to do a deep squat.
Yep.
And it has to be with slightly lighter weight.
Yep.
Because what they found was you have to use less weight to get deep.
Yeah.
And that will activate your hamstrings as well.
Yeah, right.
So if you're using too much weight, you can't get deep. This is what they found.
Yep.
So they found that, weirdly, more activation was less weight.
Well, this is what was big back in the 90s and that as well too, is don't go below parallel, because the shear force on your knees and all the rest of it. But Steve, is that a false?
That's false.
Because our body was made to move like that.
Get off the ground. Yeah.
I mean, you look at kids as well too, right?
Yeah.
When they pick up something off the ground, you see them. Perfect squat. What if you want to learn how to squat? Go watch your kid.
Yeah, they're good.
Throw some lollies on the ground and see what they do.
Absolutely.
But don't you pick them up?
No.
No.
Don't want to eat lollies.
No.
Definitely not.
No.
Okay, now I've got another squat thing here.
Yep.
Obviously, using weights with the band, best, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
What if there's no weights?
Body weight.
Yeah, body weight squats. Now, we've talked about it a lot.
Yep.
Which is the best body weight squat? Now, I'm going to put a figure
Your
up
body
on-
weight.
Yeah.
A monkey's body weight.
Yeah, mine. Yeah.
So somebody else's body weight?
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking slow, steady. Sort of. It's funny because depending on obviously what you're looking
There's the three options.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to put the picture
like
up on the screen
a
now,
jump
figure
squat.
one.
So just a standard squat.
Standard squat.
Next one is a boso ball squat,
Yep.
which is sort of you have to balance more.
Yep.
And then the next one is a single leg. What is that? A jumping squat?
No, it's not a jumping. They
What is
just
it?
squat with one leg on the box and one off the box. So you squat. You could like stand up on the box with one leg, like a step up thing.
Okay, just with one leg, and the other leg's on the ground.
Yeah,
and
it touches the ground. And then
so you step up, and then you do a squat. It's almost like a lunge, almost kind of.
Almost
You're
like
just
a
using
lunge.
one leg to sort of press up, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, myself personally, I'm probably thinking it's going to be the box squat, but I like the Bosu because the Bosu brings in all of your balance and it brings in all of the smaller muscles and it sort of really works you out.
Yep.
So I like the Bosu, but that's me.
The
But what is
Bosu
it?
was the Bosu was good, but the single leg squat exercise may enhance lower limb, medial to lateral balance, and improve knee stability in the frontal plane. So that was the best one for building muscle.
There you go. Okay.
But that and simply and it's a little bit. I don't know. I don't know about this study because if you're lifting your whole body weight with one leg,
Oof.
firstly, a lot of people can't do that.
No, that's right.
But I assumed in this case you could.
Well, we're talking with a friend down the coast, the personal trainer. Come on.
Oh,
Ken Ware.
Ken Ware, yeah.
So he is a huge fan of doing slow, circular body weight squats. So in other words, no pausing at the top or at the bottom. Feet flat on the ground. You can even put a little chair behind you if you want, like a low bench. Just don't. If you touch it, you just turn and go straight back up again, like it's a circle. Think of it as an unending circle. Nice and slow. 5 seconds up, 5 seconds down. Just keep that going. And it's really difficult, even for bigger people and all the rest of it, because you when you slow things down a lot, you use muscles and you put a lot more load onto the muscles than what you will get with momentum.
Yes.
So that's what a lot of people do. So yeah, you can always try that.
And that was the special mention exercise I've got here, which I think is possibly the most practical, and possibly it still was in the literature there as being very good. And it was the sarcoplasma stimulating training, which is that 20-second rest. You choose a weight at 70 to 80% of one rep max.
Yeah.
So it's not a massive amount of weight.
Yeah.
And you do rest for 20 seconds and repeat. And you do that quick rep up and then slow down.
And what's the rep range that you're aiming for?
You still go for that.
So you go
sort
for
of
failure?
8. Yep. Or not, almost failure.
Almost
So
fake.
you've got 1 to 2 reps left.
Really?
Yeah, that's this whole training, and you do it. And the reason why is because there's less rest between sets, so you've got more time to do other exercises, so you can get your volume levels up.
Right.
So that was the one that was a special mention one.
Okay.
And it's also practical because you can get in and out the gym quicker.
So, Steve, putting this all together then,
Yeah.
and we've still got to answer the question of how many days a week do you train?
The big question, yeah.
So, well, let's answer that one now.
All right. The title, just so people know, is from the Journal of Sports Sciences.
Yep.
And the big thing here, and this is by that Brad Schoenfeld, and he's throughout here so he's really up to this. I tell you, he's bloody amazing. So this 2000, it says, how many times per week should a muscle be trained to maximise muscle hypertrophy? A systemic review, meta-analysis of studies examining the effects of resistance training frequency.
I'm going to say one. I mean, I only know one, Steve, but you know what? There's a big part of me that's saying that it could be twice a week, but I think, yeah.
You're not going to believe the answer.
Once every 10 days. What is it?
This is the answer, and I'm quoting word for word.
No,
here.
don't tell. If he says every day, I'm going to punch Matt
It's not
and
every
his
day.
monkey girlfriend.
The basic thing is
What?
That it doesn't matter if the volumes are equated. And I'll read it. It says, there is strong evidence that resistance training frequency does not significantly or meaningfully impact muscle hypertrophy when volume is equated. Okay? So they measured different frequencies between once per week and 3+ per week. So, and they said the differences are modest. So let me break that down. Let's say you went to the gym and worked your biceps out for 3 reps.
Yep.
3 by 10, and you did it 3 times a week, okay?
Yeah.
Then you've done 3 by 10, you've done 9 reps by 10 for the week, right? If you went in once and did 9 reps for 10, it's the same. It's the same amount of hypertrophy.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
So, if you do 9 reps in one day, don't go for the rest of the week, and the hypertrophy will be the same.
I guess you've got to make sure that you're hitting that apex point in terms
Yes.
of volume of training, though.
Correct.
So, Steve, break it dodown for me.
Yeah.
So, realistically, again, the old adage is that the best time to train is the time you're going to train.
Exactly.
Overtraining, obviously, is being a bit silly.
Yeah.
But if you want to get to that min-max sort of program, Steve, we need to build a program around this. One that looks at how many exercises, what the rep range is going to be.
Yeah.
And we'll target this towards the beginner and intermediate, Steve. The advanced guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
All right. So let's say you first thing asked the person is how many times can you get to the gym?
That's right.
So let's assume we'll make up 3.
Yep.
Okay. So during that time, you've probably, if you're going from 45 to an hour, you're probably only going to get to, you're not going to do 9 sets of 10 reps for a bicep, are you?
No, with 5 minutes rest in between.
Yeah. You're not
No.
going to. No. So rest should be 30 to 60 seconds based on that study.
That's
in there.
crazy, Steve.
Yeah. So, I mean, ideally 3 minutes because you get all your thing back and then you can do heaps and that. And
Sure. So, I
it's
mean,
ridiculous.
ideal,
Ideal.
is waiting for that 3-minute ATP recovery.
Yeah.
But for people that are time pushed, you're not giving up a lot. You're actually picking up maybe a bit of growth hormone,
Yeah.
and you're obviously picking up
Growth
the
hormone.
volume
Yeah.
in a shorter period of time.
Yeah, and you don't go to absolute complete exhaustion because you deplete testosterone and increase cortisol.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. You do
Well,
it
that
to
was
failure.
and to an extreme of that is
Yeah.
rhabdo.
Yeah, and the rhabdo. Now, if you're on the gear, which is not what we're talking about here for these people, but
No.
your testosterone won't be depleted because you just take more.
Well, and Steve, there's lots of things here as well too, and this is where we need to pull all this together. So, okay, this is where quality of rest comes into it. When you're resting, your body's dealing with cortisol.
Yep.
It's detoxifying.
Yep.
You're enhancing your testosterone and growth hormone production as well too. So if you're training, rest, specifically sleep, is crucial. Absolutely crucial. So don't feel that you can get away. If you've never trained before and you go, oh, yeah, I'm going to start training, but I stay up to 1 o'clock in the morning and get up at 5 and, I function like, no.
No.
It's not going to work
No.
because your body's got a lot of processes it's got to do, specifically enhance your testosterone, enhance growth hormone, which increases while you sleep, Steve.
Yep, absolutely.
Detoxification processes are happening in your body, specifically your brain as well too. And we know how important brain health is for, serotonin, luteinizing hormone. So, yeah.
So get there and pick what muscle groups you want to work out,
Yep.
and then pick the best exercises.
What I want to
do,
I want to create a smorgasbord. I like that word. It's Carl Schwab. Just take my smorgasbord of you will be happy and have nothing.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we create a smorgasbord
Yeah.
of modules.
Yes.
So I want to create and Steve, I want to dive deeper into, so we've talked about the best, and I want to talk about the best, second best, and maybe third best exercises to do. Ones that are practical, functional, hit the most amount of muscle, but not too difficult. And again, the target demographic is that beginner, intermediate. It demystifies it. We talk about rep range, we talk about rest, we talk about drop sets, negatives, all these sorts of things, and we put it into a program for people.
Absolutely.
On every single muscle group.
Yep,
that way if people go, you know what, I can train 6 days a week. Great. You're going to have shorter workouts where you might choose maybe 1 or maybe 2 modules. Or no, I can only train twice a week or 3 times a week. Okay, you might be choosing multiple modules, and then we work on it like that.
I think it's a great idea. And knowing all this evidence, again, it's really interesting because then they can go there and pick the best exercise. Okay, let's say the bent over rows. And people go, oh, I've got a sore back.
You sound a bit whingy, Steve.
Yeah, but I'm trying to emulate somebody who's saying that, oh, I've got a sore back, whatever. You go, okay, what about lat pull down? Because that's good too. It came second.
Sure.
So you can do a lat pull down.
Well, we're going to get Jared and
Rach.
And Rach and Jake to actually come down. We're going to film some of the exercises.
Awesome.
So we'll put all this together, guys. We will. It'll take us a little bit of time. And obviously, Jared's got some ideas. He's mentioned German volume training before, which is interesting. So I want to look deeper into this, Steve. I think this is a good summary and sort of an overview in terms of what works. But it just goes to show, at the end of the day, the most important thing is get off your butt and do it. But I know that a lot of intermediate and medium people, they want a program to follow. And I know that personal trainers say this as well too. Trust the program. Trust the process. Because once you get into it and you're locked in and you're consistent, and this is kind of what you're saying about how many times a week should you train biceps. It's the consistency that's the key. And I'm very much an all or nothing person, which is a huge detriment. Because a small amount is really, really beneficial, and it is infinitely more effective than zero.
Absolutely.
And that's my problem. I'm literally either training like I'm competing for a show, or I'm freaking doing nothing at all. And I've got to get out of that all or nothing mindset.
You got to try and look for times to exercise. Oh, Tony, you're cooking tonight. I'll just go for a 20-minute walk.
Tony cooks every night.
Oh, okay. Well, while she's cooking, you can go for the 20-minute walk. Or you could help her. No.
This is 1950, Steve. What are you talking about? Well, I drive, so I call her Miss Moneypenny.
Oh, right.
And for people that don't know that, that's Thunderbirds. So I drive her around everywhere.
Moneypenny? That's our good old Jane.
No. What is it, Miss
Oh, Penelope.
Yeah.
No, not Penelope. But stop. Who is it?
Come on, Thunderbirds.
That's the name.
Parker, would you bring round the car? Yes. I thought it was. Yeah, you're right. I'm not James Bond.
It's James Bond.
No. What is it? It's Miss. Who is it? Come on, Lady
Penelope.
Yes.
Oh,
it is Lady Penelope. Yeah. She's Lady Penelope.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I'm driving Miss Daisy.
I can't think of one of the other Thunderbirds, one of the guys. I can't remember.
Thunderbirds?
Yeah.
I just remember the eyebrows. Yeah.
Yeah, they were awesome.
They were great.
I still remember the number 2 was this big fat ship, and 3 was the rocket thing, and 4 was the submarine.
A shapely ship, we call it now.
Oh, right.
A full-bodied ship.
Full-bodied ship, that's right. Because it had
a curvy ship.
It had number 4 stuck in it. It was inside it. And it would drop out into the water.
That's right.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I've got to be careful how we say that, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Oh, dear.
Anyway.
We've got a good start. I mean, this is really interesting stuff. I found this one about how often you go to the gym interesting because...
Well, Steve, as I said, I want to take this. I want to take it away. I want to talk with our trainers. Want to delve deeper into this. And again, the takeaway message is train, get a program, stick to a program, follow the program, go get a personal trainer. We've got this program coming out for the intermediate, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to help a lot of people, Steve, and we've got some really exciting stuff coming around it, and it'll be ready, later this year. Steve, we're going to talk about cardio. We're going to talk about and look, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yes.
You might say, I just use steady state. I just use, sprint-based training. You know what? If you're getting off your ass, that's a good thing. If you're watching what you eat, that's a good thing. I mean, you don't have to be perfect as well, too. And that's the other thing where I am as well. I'm doing keto. Keto is, you kind of have to be, not perfect, but you have to be very dedicated. It's keto or nothing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a few grains today. I'm going to have no. No, you can't do it. Whereas with a more carb cycling, with a flexitarian dieting, again, at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out with caveats. And what we always say about that is that make a good food rather than chickily, and this is the balanced approach. Because I appreciate guys go, oh well, if you're exercising, you know how many calories you're burning within reason. You can see the weight going down on the scale. You adjust the calories to get what you want. Yes, 100% that works. But if you can try and incorporate more, good foods into that and avoid your alcohols and your simplified sugars as much as you can. But look, none of us are perfect. All of us live in the real world.
Yeah.
Taste is such a driver. It's one of the ultimate pleasures in life. But having said that, Steve, I think people have got a basis. They can use this to obviously challenge themselves and actually make a difference if they want to.
You incorporate one or two things. If you're doing squats, put some bands on it. Try that.
Yep.
If you're using barbell curls, try the little zigzaggy one.
Yep.
I mean, these little things help.
Yep. And again, at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do, if you're still confused, still not sure what to do, don't want to build your own program, seriously invest a little bit of money and go get a personal trainer.
Much better.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. They're going to keep you accountable. They're going to understand your needs. They're going to determine what you can and can't do. And they're going to be there to help you and support you and motivate you and train you.
Absolutely.
And you'd be amazed how quickly you can get results with a good PT.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Anyway, thanks, Steve. That was interesting. We're going to dive deeper into this.
Yep.
We're going to create this program. This is going to be a mission for us.
Yeah.
I want to get into it. We're going to be using our PTs as well too to help craft this program for the intermediate and the advanced. We're going to be throwing in, as I said, the cardio as well too, when to, what to do, what not to do, what to do about cheat meals, what if I've got a wedding on, what happens if I want to have some alcohol or a cake or what have you, because we understand all of these things are possible. We're going to create this program, Steve, and then we're going to help a lot of people, not just to lose weight, but we've got some other things coming as well too, which I think might help motivate people.
Excellent.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks, mate.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.